The cry for help. The last stand. Captain Thyra Zilani pressed her scaled hand against the emergency control panel as alarms blared throughout the bridge of the merchant vessel Moon Whisper. The elegant curves of Zilarian technology, normally gleaming with soft blue light, now flickered with the harsh red of emergency systems. Through the viewport, she could see the burning wreckage of two escort ships drifting silently in the void. The Vorthic pirates had come without warning, their black ships emerging from the asteroid field like predators from shadows. The Moon Whisper was a merchant vessel, built for cargo transport, not combat. Her escorts had fought bravely, but were no match for the raiders' advanced weaponry. "Captain, hull breach on Deck 7. Navigator Kes Morin called out, his young voice cracking with fear. The slender Zilarian's large eyes reflected the emergency lights as he struggled with his damaged console. "The medical supplies are venting into space." Thyra's heart sank. Those supplies were desperately needed on the outer colonies. Thousands of Zilarian civilians depended on them. The Moon Whisper had been their lifeline, carrying vaccines and medicines across the dangerous Outer Rim territories. "Engineering report." Thyra commanded into her comm unit. Chief Engineer Roth Valen's gruff voice crackled through the static. "Main engines are gone, Captain. The pirates' plasma torpedoes tore right through our drive section. We're dead in space." The abandoned ship order. The ship shuddered as another explosion rocked the hull. Thyra knew they had minutes before the Moon Whisper would break apart completely. She had commanded merchant vessels for 15 years, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. "All hands, abandon ship," she announced over the ship's communication system. "Proceed to emergency pods immediately. This is not a drill." Throughout the vessel, her crew of 37 Zilarians rushed toward the escape pods. They moved with practiced efficiency despite their fear. Thyra watched through the security monitors as families hugged goodbye, not knowing if they would see each other again. Kes remained at his station, frantically working his controls. "Captain, I can't get a clear emergency beacon signal through all this interference. The pirates' jamming is too strong." "Then go to the pods, Kes," Thyra ordered gently. "You've done everything you can." The young navigator shook his head. "Not without you, Captain. You taught me that a ship's crew never leaves their captain behind." Thyra smiled sadly at the brave young Zilarian. "And I'm teaching you now that sometimes a captain must make the hardest choice of all." The desperate gambit. As the crew reached the escape pods, Thyra made her way to the quantum communications array. The advanced system was Zilarian technology at its finest, capable of sending messages instantly across vast distances. But it required enormous power, and the ship's systems were failing fast. "Computer, transfer all remaining power to the quantum beacon," she commanded. "Warning. This action will result in complete system shutdown within 5 minutes," the ship's AI responded in its calm, feminine voice. "Acknowledged. Prepare emergency message for broad-spectrum transmission." Thyra began recording her distress call, knowing it might be her last act as captain. "This is Captain Thyra Zilani of the Zilarian merchant vessel Moon Whisper. We have been attacked by Vorthic pirates at coordinates 77 Mark 49 in the Outer Rim. Our ship is destroyed. Crew has abandoned in emergency pods. We carry critical medical supplies for the Zilarian colonies. Any vessel receiving this message, please respond. We are peaceful merchants seeking only to help those in need." She paused, then added, "To any species unknown to us who might receive this message, we mean no harm. We ask only for the mercy that one traveler shows another lost in the dark." Into the void. The quantum beacon activated with a brilliant flash of energy, sending Thyra's message racing through subspace in all directions. The power drain was immediate and devastating. Emergency lighting failed, gravity generators shut down, and the comforting hum of life support systems fell silent. Thyra floated in the darkness, her breath visible in the rapidly cooling air. The escape pods had already launched, their tiny lights disappearing into the starfield. She was alone on a dying ship, surrounded by the infinite cold of space. Making her way to the captain's emergency pod, she initiated the launch sequence. But as the pod began to separate from the ship, a massive explosion rocked the Moon Whisper. Shrapnel tore through the pod's outer hull, and Thyra felt the artificial atmosphere rushing out through the breach. With her last conscious thought, she activated the pod's emergency stasis system. The pod sealed itself and began the freezing process that would keep her alive until rescue came. If rescue came, the message travels. Thyra's quantum message raced through space at impossible speeds, spreading outward like ripples in a cosmic pond. It passed through empty systems, around dead stars, and into regions of space that no Zellerian had ever explored. The message reached the territories of a dozen different species. Some ignored it, others were too far away to help. A few recorded it for future reference, but none acted upon it. Finally, after traveling for days through the quantum foam that underlies reality, the message reached a sector of space controlled by a species the Zellerians had never encountered. These were the humans of Earth, a young species that had only recently begun exploring the stars. The message arrived at a small monitoring station on the edge of human space, where a tired communications officer named Lieutenant Sarah Chen was ending her shift. She almost missed the unusual signal entirely, but something about its pattern caught her attention. The discovery. Chen leaned forward in her chair, adjusting the signal parameters. The message was unlike anything in the human databases. It was clearly artificial, but the language was completely unknown. The quantum signature suggested it had traveled an enormous distance. "Computer, analyze signal pattern and attempt translation," she commanded. The station's AI worked for several minutes before responding. Translation incomplete. However, mathematical constants and star charts within the message suggest it is a distress call from coordinates approximately 400 light-years from current position. Chen felt her pulse quicken. 400 light-years was far beyond the normal range of human patrols, but it was within the range of their fastest ships. She immediately contacted her superior officer. "Major Reynolds, we've received what appears to be an alien distress call. It's coming from deep space, well outside our normal patrol routes." Major Reynolds appeared on her screen, his weathered face serious. "Are you certain it's genuine, Chen? It could be a trap." "The signal pattern is consistent with emergency protocols, sir, and the quantum signature suggests the sender was in genuine distress. Someone out there is asking for help." Reynolds was quiet for a long moment. "Relay the message to Fleet Command. Let them decide if we respond." The human decision. At Fleet Command headquarters on Luna, Admiral Patricia Hayes reviewed the translated message with her senior staff. The conference room was filled with the soft hum of computers analyzing the alien signal. "What do we know about this species?" Hayes asked her intelligence officer. "Nothing, Admiral. They call themselves Zellerians, but we have no record of previous contact. Their technology appears advanced, particularly their quantum communication systems." Hayes studied the star charts showing the location of the distress call. It was indeed far from human space, in a region they had barely begun to explore. "What ships do we have available for a rescue mission?" she asked. "The UES Thunderbolt is completing patrol exercises in Sector 7, replied her operations officer. "Commander Morrison's ship is our fastest and best equipped for long-range missions." Hayes nodded. Jake Morrison was one of their most experienced captains, known for his quick thinking and compassionate leadership. "Contact the Thunderbolt. Order them to investigate this distress call." "Admiral, that's a significant deviation from their current mission," the operations officer pointed out. "And we have no idea what they might encounter out there." Hayes looked at the alien message displayed on the main screen. Something about it touched her deeply. The plea for mercy, the mention of medical supplies for colonies, the simple request for help from one traveler to another. "We've always said that humanity would be a force for good among the stars," she said quietly. "This is our chance to prove it. Send the order." The orders. Commander Jake Morrison stood in his ready room aboard the UES Thunderbolt, reading the mission orders that had just arrived from Fleet Command. The 38-year-old officer had served in the Earth Fleet for 15 years, but this was unlike any mission he had ever received. His first officer, Lieutenant Commander Elena Rodriguez, entered the room. "Sir, we've received new orders from Fleet Command. They want us to investigate an alien distress call 400 light-years from here." Morrison nodded, setting down the datapad. "I just finished reading them. What's our status?" "All systems are green, sir. We can be ready to depart within the hour. But, sir, this mission will take us far beyond our normal patrol routes. We'll be completely on our own out there." Morrison moved to the viewport, looking out at the stars. The Thunderbolt was a heavy cruiser, designed for both exploration and combat. Her crew of 120 was among the best in the fleet. "Elena, what do you think about this mission?" he asked. Rodriguez considered the question carefully. "Honestly, sir, it could be dangerous. We know nothing about this alien species or the region of space they're in. But they're asking for help, and that's what we're here for." Morrison smiled. "My thoughts exactly. Set course for the distress call coordinates. Maximum speed. The journey begins." The Thunderbolt engaged her quantum drive and disappeared into subspace, beginning the long journey toward the unknown. In the depths of space, Thyra Zelani floated in her damaged emergency pod, kept alive by failing systems and the hope that someone, somewhere, had heard her call. Behind her, the wreckage of the Moon Whisper continued to drift among the stars, a monument to the courage of merchants who had tried to bring healing to the far corners of the galaxy. Around her, the scattered emergency pods of her crew slowly tumbled through the void, their occupants sealed in stasis, waiting for rescue or death. The quantum message had done its work, bridging the gap between species and carrying a plea for mercy across the cosmic dark. Now it remained to be seen whether the humans who had received it would prove worthy of the trust placed in them by desperate strangers. The journey had begun, and with it, the first chapter of what would become one of the most important partnerships in galactic history. The human response. Contact. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderbolt as the ship dropped out of quantum drive. The stars shifted from streaks of light back to pinpoints, and the main view screen showed the coordinates where the alien distress call had originated. "Sensor sweep, Lieutenant Chen," Morrison ordered his communications officer. Sarah Chen, who had been temporarily assigned to the Thunderbolt for this mission, worked her console with practiced efficiency. "I'm detecting multiple objects, Commander. Debris field consistent with a space battle, and several small objects that could be escape pods." "Life signs?" Morrison asked. "Scanning now, sir. I'm reading faint life signs from several of the pods. They appear to be in some kind of stasis." Morrison felt a mix of relief and concern. They had found survivors, but the battle debris suggested these aliens had faced serious opposition. "Any sign of the attacking vessels?" "Negative, sir. Whatever happened here, it's over now." First contact protocol. Dr. Marcus Webb, the ship's chief medical officer, arrived on the bridge carrying his field kit. The middle-aged physician had volunteered for this mission specifically because of the chance to make first contact with a new species. "Commander, I've reviewed what little we know about these Illyrians," Webb reported. "Their physiology appears to be based on similar principles to ours, but with significant differences. I should be able to adapt our medical equipment to help them." Morrison nodded. "What about communication?" Lieutenant Chen spoke up. "I've been analyzing their language patterns from the distress call. Our translation matrix should be able to handle basic communication, but it will be limited at first. Chief Rodriguez, prepare a boarding team," Morrison ordered his security chief. "Full environmental suits and peaceful intentions. We don't know how these people will react to us." The rescue. The Thunderbolt's shuttlecraft approached the nearest escape pod, its pilot carefully maneuvering to avoid the debris field. Through the shuttle's viewport, the boarding team could see the sleek, organic curves of the alien pod. "It's beautiful," whispered engineering specialist Amy Foster, her voice full of wonder. "Look at how it's designed. It's like it grew rather than being built." Chief Petty Officer Tom Rodriguez checked his scanner. "Life sign is weak but stable. Dr. Webb, can you work with their technology?" Webb studied the pod's exterior. "I can see what appears to be an access port. The design is intuitive. I think I can interface with their systems." Working carefully, Webb connected his medical equipment to the alien pod. The translation matrix kicked in, and slowly, the pod's systems began to respond to human commands. The first meeting. The pod opened with a soft hiss, revealing a being unlike any human had ever seen. The Zellerian was tall and slender, with scaled skin that shimmered between blue and green. Large, intelligent eyes fluttered open, and the alien made a sound that the translation matrix rendered as confusion and fear. "Easy," Dr. Webb said softly, holding up his hands in what he hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "We're here to help. We received your distress call." The alien's eyes widened as the translation matrix worked both ways, converting Webb's words into the Zellerian language. Slowly, the being spoke, and the matrix translated. You are not Zellerian. What species are you?" "We're humans," Webb replied. "From the planet Earth. We came because we heard your call for help." The alien's expression changed to one of amazement. "You came from so far away to help strangers." Learning trust. As more rescue pods were brought aboard the Thunderbolt, the humans learned the story of the Moon Whisperer and her crew. The Zellerians were merchants and healers, carrying medical supplies to distant colonies when they were attacked by pirates. Navigator Kes Morin, one of the first to be revived, served as translator for the others. The young Zellerian was amazed by the humans' technology and their willingness to help. "Your species traveled 400 light-years to answer our call," Kes said to Morrison during a briefing. "In our experience, most species would not take such risks for strangers." Morrison studied the star charts the Zellerians had provided. "Where we come from, we have a saying. Leave no one behind. It doesn't matter if they're human or not. If someone needs help, we help them." The captain's pod. The search for Captain Thyra Zellani took 3 days. Her pod had drifted farther from the wreckage than the others, and its systems were nearly depleted. When they finally found it, the readings were critical. "Commander, her life signs are extremely weak," Dr. Webb reported as they brought the pod aboard. "The stasis system is failing. I need to get her to sickbay immediately." In the medical bay, Webb worked alongside a revived Zellerian doctor named Healer Voss. The two physicians, despite their different species, found they could work together effectively. "Her neural patterns are stabilizing," Voss reported. "The stasis saved her life, but she's been under for too long." When Thyra finally awoke, she found herself looking up at two faces, one human, one Zellerian. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming. "Captain Zellani," Dr. Webb said gently. "I'm Dr. Webb of the Earth ship Thunderbolt. We received your distress call." Thyra's eyes filled with tears. "My crew." "Safe," Webb assured her. "All 37 of your people are alive and recovering." Building bridges. Over the following days, as the Thunderbolt made its way toward Zellerian space, the two species began to learn about each other. The humans were fascinated by Zellerian technology, particularly their quantum communication systems and their organic ship designs. The Zellerians, in turn, were amazed by human engineering and their military capabilities. They had never encountered a species that combined such advanced technology with such a strong moral compass. "Your weapons could have conquered our worlds," Thyra observed during a dinner with Commander Morrison. "Yet you use them only to protect others." Morrison smiled. "We learned long ago that strength without compassion is just tyranny. Our greatest victories have come from helping others, not conquering them." The escort home. As they approached Zellerian space, long-range sensors detected a patrol fleet heading toward them. The Zilarians had received word of their missing merchant vessel and were searching for survivors. "They're hailing us," Lieutenant Chen reported. "The lead ship is requesting identification." Captain Thyra stood beside Morrison on the bridge. "This is Captain Thyra Zilani of the merchant vessel Moonwhisper. I am aboard the human ship Thunderbolt. These beings saved our lives." The response came quickly. "Captain Zilani, we had given you up for lost. Who are these humans?" Thyra looked at Morrison with gratitude. "They are friends who answered our call when we had no hope left." The new alliance. The Thunderbolt was escorted to the Zilarian homeworld of Zelios, where the crew received a hero's welcome. The rescue had created a sensation throughout Zilarian space. News of the humans' selfless act spread quickly. In the capital city of Zelios, Morrison met with the Zilarian High Council. The elegant chamber was filled with beings whose scales shimmered in the soft light, and the air hummed with the sound of their ancient language. "Commander Morrison," spoke the council leader, "your species has shown us something we thought lost in the galaxy: pure altruism. You risked your lives for strangers, expecting nothing in return." Morrison stood before the assembly. "We helped because it was the right thing to do. In our travels through space, we hope to find friends, not subjects." The council leader smiled, an expression that translated well across species. "Then you have found friends indeed. The Zilarian Republic formally offers alliance with the human species. Our knowledge, our technology, our friendship are yours." The long journey home. The journey back to human space took several weeks, but now the Thunderbolt was not alone. A Zilarian diplomatic vessel accompanied them, carrying ambassadors who would establish formal relations between the two species. Captain Thyra had volunteered to serve as the first Zilarian ambassador to Earth. She felt a personal debt to the humans who had saved her crew. "You changed our understanding of what it means to be civilized," she told Morrison as they approached Earth space. "We thought strength and compassion were opposites. You showed us they can be the same thing." Morrison looked out at the blue-green world of Earth growing larger on the view screen. "We're not perfect, Captain. We've made mistakes, fought wars, been selfish, but we're learning. And maybe, with friends like you, we can become better than we are." The Foundation. The arrival of the Thunderbolt and her Zilarian escort at Earth marked the beginning of a new era. Humanity's first formal alliance with an alien species opened doors to trade, scientific exchange, and mutual protection. The Zilarians shared their advanced medical knowledge and quantum communication technology. In return, humans provided military protection and engineering expertise. The partnership proved beneficial to both species. But more than the technology or trade agreements, the alliance represented something deeper. It showed that in the vast darkness of space, compassion could bridge any gap, and that the greatest strength was not in weapons or ships, but in the willingness to help those in need. Epilogue. The message spreads. Years later, the story of the Moonwhisper and the Thunderbolt had become legend throughout the galaxy. Other species began to seek out the humans, drawn by their reputation for fairness and protection of the weak. The Zilarian-Human Alliance grew into a confederation of dozens of species, all united by the principle that strength should be used to protect, not to conquer. The galaxy became a safer place, with fewer pirates and tyrants, and more cooperation between worlds. In the depths of space, automated beacons continued to broadcast the story of how a desperate call for help had bridged the gap between species. The message was simple but powerful. In a universe that often seemed cold and hostile, there were still those who would answer when someone called out in the dark. And somewhere, in a small museum on Zelios, the wreckage of an emergency pod was displayed with a simple inscription: "To our human friends who proved that mercy is the strongest force in the universe." The story had begun with abandonment and despair, but it ended with hope and friendship. It was a testament to the power of compassion and the courage to do what was right, even when it was difficult. In the end, that was what made humans special in the galaxy, not their weapons or their technology, but their willingness to help a stranger in need, no matter how far they had to travel or how great the risk. The message had been sent, and it had been answered, and the galaxy was forever changed because of it.